Howdy y'all, so I got my hands on Replaced, a new narrative-driven 2D platformer sci-fi cyberpunk experience. Now, this is a game that was announced a few years ago now, and it got delayed a few times. This is a game people have been waiting for a hot minute, and I was lucky enough to be able to get access to a copy of the game to actually play it. And after all this time of waiting for it, how does the game hold up? Well, I'll say this. I've played about 5-ish hours of this game. I haven't played it all the way through. And at least for me personally, I think this game is good. I think it's pretty daggone good, actually. So as you all know, I'm not a huge 2D platformer sort of person. I prefer to 3D platformers, mostly because I really suck at 2D platformers. I'm not good at them, and I don't play them that much. Now, this game, I should let y'all know too, it's a 2D platformer, but it's not Metroidvania. You're not going through an area and then doubling back to find a secret hidden room or anything like that. Any collectibles or anything extra that you're picking up, you're gonna find it along the route as you're exploring. And once you go through certain areas, there is no like going back to them, especially when it comes to the story missions. So that's something to keep a note. If you're looking at Metroidvania type experience, you're not getting that here. That's not what this is. This is story driven, and you're going from set piece to set piece with occasionally going back to a hub area of sorts to kind of chill for a bit. Now, as you're playing through this game, you're doing different platforming styles. As you advance through the game, you find more ways to get across different gaps in different areas. So there is a little bit of advancement there as far as how to get across certain areas as you continue the game. So as far as the combat of this game goes, it's a reminiscent of a Batman Arkham sort of game. You're fighting these enemies, you can dodge their attacks, you can find counter punches and hits, and you can also eventually find a way of like destroying their armor using this like crowbar weapon. Now, I really like the combat. Most of the combat in this game is going to be you fist fighting your way through. You do have a weapon in the game, but it's one of those things where you have to build up the ability to shoot the weapon, and you get a freebie kind of quick kill once you load up the ability to be able to use it. As you get further along the game, you find additional little abilities such as being able to fully charge the gun on top of that, which allows you to use the gun to fire multiple shots and knock a lot of enemies down real fast. So there is some leeway there, but this game is mostly based in fighting. That's the main thing. You're gonna be punching and kicking and kind of flipping and using a gun every once in a while as you're going through these fights. Now, it is on a 2.5D platform, so most of the fights that you're encountering are just enemies coming at you left and right at the same time. And so you're kind of dodging back and forth, trying to block enemies, trying to knock armor, dodge all these bullets that these guys are shooting at you, reflecting them back. There's a lot going on, and it is interesting to have this side-scroller plane where there's so many enemies on screen at once. As you get further in the game, it can get a little overwhelming. So I played the game on normal difficulty. There's a hard and easy mode attached as well. And I've managed to mostly make it through all the combat encounters so far. As I've gotten further along though, sometimes it's taken me 1 or 2 extra tries longer than the previous fight did. So I am struggling a little bit. If you're good at like quick countering, then it might be a little bit of an easier experience for you. But as somebody who's not great at parrying or dodging and hasn't got the best timing, I would sometimes struggle a little bit during these fights. And the way these fights work too is that you'll see sometimes enemies in the front that you're fighting, and then there'll be enemies behind them, on the plane behind them. And once you defeat like a few enemies, then the ones that are in the background move to the foreground. And so you're constantly having a bunch of enemies come at you at once, and you basically have to defeat all of them in order to move on to the next area. Now, in addition to that, during these fights, you do have med kit heals I encountered up to like a max of 2 that I could use to quickly heal myself. It doesn't heal you all the way, it only heals you part way, but there are ways to be able to upgrade that, and I'll get to that in a bit. So that's the whole experience of the game, is you platforming your way across, fighting a bunch of enemies, and then the third part is the storytelling. It's talking to characters, it's scanning stuff in the environment to find background lore. So you have this little pocket watch screen thing that you would see in a sort of like a Blade Runner kind of thing. And you get to scroll through there and you pick up notes that you can read that explain some lore, or you'll find music sometimes. You can use it to play music in the background as you're moving along. And it'll tell you additional objectives you need, whether there's like side missions in the area or what you need to do next, or kind of guide you what you need to do and where to go, but not tell you directly how to do it. And so that's a cool little feature. So I thought the music sounded really good as I was scrolling through. It's cool, you can go back and read all the notes that you previously picked up. And you'll be scanning the stuff in all the environments as you're going through each section of the story. The story is split into chapters. So usually each like main hub area level you go through is a chapter. Now there is a home hub I kind of mentioned earlier, and that is like this little city section that's near like a train station. And in this section is where a lot of the people live, and it'll be one of the few times where you do have some side quests. All the side quests you get are usually in this hub area, and you don't get too many to worry about. It's usually like 3 of them that you might pick up as you're walking along. You just see the option to talk to a character, and they'll be like, oh, I need you to grab this for me or grab this. But everything you're doing is within that area. You're not going to try to pick up an item during like a main mission somewhere else. Everything you need to do to solve those subquests are going to be within the central hub area only. You're like, oh, cool, I can do these couple side missions. You figure them out pretty quickly. You're not spending too much time in this hub area before you're moving on back to the main story, back to the action. So yeah, as you go through experience, you kind of start solo. The story essentially is that you're playing this guy who accidentally kind of inherited a computer program in his head that he used to work on due to some accident. So essentially, your character is mostly this computer program that is sometimes talking to itself, referring to the human that's still in there, but this is the character that's talking to everybody in the world. And it's a very interesting character because it is like an AI sort of robot thing, so it doesn't really know how humans interact and understand emotions, so it's learning more about humanity as it's going along in these conversations. Now, you will be coming across other characters in the game, but one in particular, Tempest, who is he's a character. He's a person that you'll learn to love. A little bit of a stereotypical character, but you know, a young lad that wants to do right in the world, a little over too ambitious and eager, that sometimes gets himself and others in trouble. You know, that type of person. And he's kind of the main side character you connect with the most, and you see his opinions on things and see how he interacts with other people. And so he eventually becomes like a main part of the story as you continue forward. And to sum it all up with the characters, you do talk to them. The way you pick up side quests is by talking to characters, and there's like a little tree of sorts, and you press one of the face buttons and that'll unlock a different dialogue conversations. That's how you learn information to solve a quest. That's how you learn the background of some characters. So there is conversations with characters, but it's only happening in this home hub world. It's not happening in any of like the main missions per se. There'll be other characters in the background, but once you walk by them, you'll see them kind of talk amongst themselves in the background, just to add some atmosphere to the game. So lastly, to talk about the art style. I really like the art style of this game. It does give that Blade Runner Cyberpunk kind of vibe to it. The backgrounds, I think, are so cool in this game. I think that's what part of the charm of this game is, and what people are going to remember most about it, is the backgrounds. As you're moving through this 2.5D plane, you know, you're going across straight, but you can't go up and down stairs at certain points. And just seeing the camera movement in the game as you're going up towards the background and further back to the foreground. And even when you're just going across, it's hard not to just stop and stare at the world, because they like add stuff into the distance. They really give the whole world a lot of character. So there's a lot of times where you're just running for dear life, but you're trying to see the background and all the detail, and it's kind of hard to do because you're so focused on trying to escape. But it just shows the amount of time and care they put into it, and kind of explains a little bit why it took so long to make this, because there is so much detail in this world with a lot of sprite looking things in it. And even though you can't really see the characters' faces and all that up close, there's just enough there where you can kind of see what they look like. You can see, you know, Timus's like blonde hair, or the grayness in the character you play a little bit in his hair. You can see the colors of the jackets and the outfits these characters are wearing, which is kind of hard to do when everything's with sprites in this darker kind of world. Usually games that have those sprites are a lot brighter colors and everything, so it's nice to see such variety of colors and not it be too muted or blending in too much. So the art style, I think, is something that people are going to remember about this game, even maybe more so than the story. The story itself is fine so far. It's nothing like revolutionary, I would say, but it's enough to keep you going. This game is more about the characters, I would say, than what the story itself is. The actual like story of the game, of like what you're trying to do, is kind of simplistic and pretty straightforward. I'm glad that they took their time with this game and delayed it when they needed to, because I think the end product is worth it. I think if you don't like 2D platformers all that much, give this one a shot. You will have a good time with it. If you like narrative-driven games that have a little bit of fun combat, check this game out. I really have fun playing it. I keep thinking about it when I'm not playing it, and I'm really excited to play this all the way to the end to see where it goes.